This is the Anker SOLIX C1000 portable power station. It's 1,056 watts. It's one of the most popular power stations out right now, and I'm excited to show you guys some of its features and give you guys my review on it. So first off, when we're looking at this power station, one thing that I really like about it is it's got 6 3-prong AC outlets, which a lot of power stations in this range, they'll have obviously outlets, but a lot of times they'll have maybe 2 3-prong outlets and then 4 2-prong outlets, things like that. But this one has 6 3-prong outlets, which is really nice because you're able to plug in a lot more appliances, I feel like, at once, even bigger appliances, because most bigger appliances have 3-prong outlets. And then this one right here is actually a surge outlet, which is really nice as well. It's got 2 USBs, 2 USB-Cs, and then it's got the DC basically car outlet right there, which is pretty cool as well. And to turn these on, basically, if you want to use them, if you want to use the AC power, you just click this button right here. It'll make a little clicking noise, and then this button will actually light up, as you can see the light right there. Once that's on, you can plug things in, it will work. And then the DC side, same thing, you press this button. Once that's on, you can use this and it'll start, letting out power essentially when you plug things in. So I'll turn that off right now. That's basically what the front has. It also has this light right here on the top, which I think is super cool. Basically, you just press this button, it turns on the light. If you press it again, it makes it a little brighter. If you press it a third time, it makes it even brighter. When you turn it, press it again, it turns off. If you actually hold this button down though, it actually turns on an SOS mode, which I think is pretty cool as well, because if you had this like camping, things like that, that could come in handy. So I really like that. It has the screen right here as well. It shows the battery percentage. You can see right now it's at 87%. Let's turn this thing around to the side. Then on this side right here, let me point this down. On this side right here, we have the basically ports for the extendable battery. So if you did want to have, if you had an extendable battery, which you can get with this thing, basically you just open this up and you would plug that in right there. You could stack the extendable battery on top, and then you'd plug the other end into that extendable battery, and essentially you can double the battery capacity, which is pretty nice, pretty cool. They had that feature. It is extendable, which is nice. On the back side, we don't have anything, just plain like that. And then on this side, this is where we have all of our outlets. So we have a regular, just like outlet charger, and then we have the solar charger and the car charger. So you can actually, it comes with the solar charger and the car charger and the outlet charger, and you can actually plug in the car charger here or the solar panels right here as well. And then this right here is basically a overload protection as well, which is nice that it has. And then on either side, it has the vents as well. I feel like it gives it a really cool look, but then it's also uses as the vent to basically keep it cool when you're using it. And that's pretty much it. On the top, it has this like, let me move this over. On the top, it has this like carbon fiber top, which in my opinion looks really cool and really nice. It's not a wireless charger, which I'm okay with. I don't think it needs a wireless charger, but it has that on top. Oh, accidentally pressed the button. It has that on top though. It's carbon fiber, it's flat, so you can actually put things on top of it. And yeah, overall, really cool power bank. That's what the outside is. So I want to get to some of the internal features, but one more thing about the external feature that it has is it has these handles on the side, so it's super easy to carry around with you, and it's actually really light, which I'll actually weigh it right now so you guys can see it. All right, so here's the scale. As you can see, it's at 0. Let's place this thing on, see how much it weighs. As you can see, it weighs about 28 pounds, maybe a little bit more or less, because I don't know how accurate the scale is, but 28 pounds, which is super light, honestly, for how powerful this power station is. I mean, 28 pounds is going to be super easy to carry around with you. So this thing is super portable for the power that it has. All right, now I wanted to go over some of the internal features of this battery. It does have the lithium iron phosphate battery chemistry, and so it's going to give you that 3,000 plus battery life cycles, which is going to last a long time. Lithium iron phosphate is one of the most reliable batteries now. Most all the big time power stations have those, and this has that, which basically going to last you, like, if you used it every single day, basically a decade, if not more. And that just basically lowers it to 80% of its original use. And so it still can last a lot longer than that. That's just basically 80% capacity. It lowers down to that. So pretty awesome that it has that. The battery itself is 1,056 watts, like I said earlier. So it's pretty big. It's going to be able to run, a lot of your standard appliances and things, and just a lot of different things, like it's like your laptop, phone, obviously, and then even your refrigerator, TV. It's going to power a lot of things in case of a power outage, and then it's also light enough to where you can take it camping and power a lot of other smaller items as well. But it has a max output of 1800 watts and a peak output of 2400 watts. So essentially it can handle 1800 watts at a time. It can also go up to 2400 watts for a limited amount of time. So about like, it's about like 20 minutes or so. Any longer than that, I wouldn't recommend it. But it can also balance itself out. If the appliances can handle it, it'll basically lower it down to 1800 watts again. If it can still run the appliances. If it's more than 2400 watts, it's going to have that emergency shutdown essentially where it's going to just shut down and not be able to power that. One thing about this battery as well that I really like is it can charge super fast. It only takes about 56 minutes to charge this thing. I think it's like 55 or 56 minutes to charge it up to 100% with an outlet. And so it's super fast. It also has smart temperature regulation. And so essentially that's what these vents are for on the side, where basically it helps keep it cool to where you can run these appliances and things, and it's not going to overheat very easily. So really cool that it has that as well. And one thing that we talked about earlier as well is the solar. So it can actually charge up to basically 600 watts of input from the solar. And so it can take up to 600 watts, which is really cool as well, because it's going to be able to charge pretty fast up with solar as well if you have, 600 watt solar panels essentially, or if you have, a lot of solar panels, I guess is what I meant to say. It can receive 600 watts at a time, which is pretty cool. So yeah, overall, the battery chemistry is really nice. It's going to last a long time. But now I'll show you guys some of the things that this thing can actually power and run. So let's check it out. And just so you guys can see that this actually works, I have a portable ice machine right here. I don't even know how many watts this thing actually pulls, but I'll actually find out right now. But essentially, I'll unplug this. I'll turn this thing on right here like this. It's on. Let me turn on the AC power right here. Plug it in, boom, and let's see, let me turn it on, and let's see how it works. So, as you can see, it turned on. If you come closer here you can actually see how many watts are being outputted and how much time is left. So, as you can see, this ice machine actually hardly takes any watts. It only takes about 45 watts right now. So it shows the output, and then it shows how many hours you would have left. So this thing could actually run this ice machine for 14 and a half hours, which is really cool. So that is one thing that I really like about this, is that when you plug something in it, it'll show you how long you have basically to run that device. So this has about 15 hours, which is really nice. It might change a little bit as it goes on, just because power can change a little bit, like a refrigerator. It'll start off high and then it'll come down. But yeah, only 42 watts. Let's test out some other things as well. All right, so honestly, that was a little too easy. It was only like 45 watts, but I would show you guys an actual refrigerator, but unfortunately, I live in an apartment, and it's kind of hard to just, take the refrigerator. But this thing being 1,056 watts, it should run your refrigerator about 7 or 8 hours, maybe a little bit longer or less, depending on the refrigerator you have. So that's probably one of the most common things that you would use this for if you did have a power outage, a refrigerator. But I want to show you guys a TV. This TV, I think it's a 65-inch TV. But when you plug it in, obviously it depends on the size of your TV. This is a pretty old TV actually. So it might not be as efficient actually. So it might be a good test. But I'll turn it on right here. So it's actually already turned on the AC. Let me plug it in real quick. Boom. Plugged it in. Let's see. Let me turn the TV on. Boom. Let's see if it works. Is it on? It is on. Let's see. I'm on, and boom, the TV works. So this thing can power your TV. I mean, it can power refrigerators. Let's see how many watts this thing pulls. So it's pulling about 1,000 watts. It's pulling only about 59 watts. That's actually not very much either. But as you can see, this thing's going to be able to run a refrigerator for a long time. And let me just show you guys up close. So as you can see right now, the TV is pulling about 60 watts. So not very much as well, but it's going to be able to last at 87%. It's going to be able to run it about 11 or so hours. It is changing a little bit just because it's trying to figure out how much power it's actually pulling. So it might need a little bit to adjust to the device that you're plugging into. But right now, as you can see, about 10.4 hours, 60 watts. So that's pretty good. A 65-inch TV for 10.5 hours. And if it was at 100%, it'd probably be more, maybe like 12 hours. So definitely can run a TV. If you were camping and you wanted to run a projector or, stuff like that, maybe even a TV, while you're camping, you could definitely run it with this thing. So I really wanted to push this thing to the limits. One thing about this power station, it has a max output of 1800 watts and then a peak output of 2400 watts. And so it should basically be able to maintain 1800 watts for a little bit, for up to like 20-30 minutes. It can hold like 2400 watts. But if it's any higher than that, it's going to basically go into protective mode and it's not going to be able to run those devices. But I wanted to put it to the test, so I got a panini maker and then a crock pot right here, because when things are, heaters and things that put out heat use a lot more power. And so I want to just test it to see if this thing can handle this. So let's check it out. So first off, I'll plug in the panini maker right here. So it's turned on. Let's plug this thing in. It might actually take a second to heat up, so let's give it a second. But let me turn this on. And that actually is a lot. Wow. So this has an output of 1,164 watts. So as you can see right here, 1,164 watts. So quite a bit. It's only going to be able to power it for about 0.7 hours because it's so much power. Because this thing actually is, it's outputting more wattage than this thing basically can handle, or this thing is itself. So there we go. Now let's plug in the other one and see what happens. So let's plug in the crock pot. Here we go. Have the crock pot. Let's plug it in. Boom. And let's see what happens. I might have to turn it on. See if it works. So it might take a second to turn on. So it's at 1200 watts right now. Let's see. It's at 1200 watts. So it looks like it actually can handle it. So 1200. Dang, I need to plug in some more stuff. Only 1200 watts. Okay. Let me see. Let me see if I can turn this on high and see if it changes the difference. Okay, so I just turned the crock pot on high. So now it's turning on a little more. Now it's at 1400 watts, 1300 watts, 1400 watts. And as you can see, it has no problem. It has no problem powering those things, both of those at one time. And I'm going to try to add another one to get it up to 1800, and we'll see basically what the limit of this thing is. But as you can see, it can handle it no problem. It goes up to 1800 watts, so 1400 is no problem at all. All right, so I actually decided to switch out the crock pot for a toaster just because it uses a lot more watts. And we're going to see if it can power both of these. That should be around 2000 watts, something like that. So it'll be over the 1800 watt output, and then we'll see if this can handle it. So let me plug this in here. I'll turn the toaster on, and then let me see this right here. Plug this in, and let's see what happens. So it looks like the toaster is at 744 watts right now, and then the panini maker is about 1000. So it's at 1900 watts right now. So it's actually above the max wattage, and as you can see, it's still fine. It's still fine. It still is able to power. So it'll actually go up to about 2400 watts. If it's any above that, though, you're only going to want to run it for 2400 watts for about 20 minutes. If it's any higher than that, it's not going to be very long, and it's not going to, it's basically going to shut down, and it's not good for the battery. So, but as you can see right now, with 1700 watts, I mean, this is it right here, 1796 watts. It's going to power it for about 0.4 hours. And it is powering it no problem. And that's at 80% battery. So if it was 100%, it'd be longer than that. And so, yeah, I mean, this thing is awesome. You can even, as you can see as well, it'll basically maintain it. So before it was like 1900, but now it's maintaining it under 1800 watts. So it'll actually, what's cool about this battery is it's actually a smart battery. So it'll actually basically take the wattage that is being output and it'll balance it out to where it's under 1800 watts. Unless it's just too much power and it's not going to run the device, then it'll cut off, right? But right now it's at 1792, so it's just under that max 1800 watt output, and it's going to power it no problem. So great test. This thing is awesome. Sorry I couldn't do an actual refrigerator, but an actual refrigerator actually doesn't use that many watts either. So it'll be able to power for about 7-ish hours or so, even maybe a little bit higher. But yeah, I'm glad you guys could see this, that it can power, over 1800 watts, no problem. All right, so overall, my review on this battery, this power station, is this thing is awesome. For the weight and the power that this thing has, it's an awesome product. I mean, it can power so many different things, has a wide variety of range. It's going to be great for power outages, for smaller items in your house, or even bigger items, for the majority of your items of your house, I guess I'd say, for TVs, refrigerators, things like that. And it's just great as well because it's super lightweight that you're going to be able to take it with you camping, power all of your camping devices essentially. And it's just it has a flashlight. It's just a great, well-rounded power station. I would definitely recommend checking this one out. This one is the 1056 watt power station, and overall just a great product from Anker. So thank you guys for watching.